That was such a botch. That
What
was
was
such a
that?
terrible botch. I don't even know what was happening. Hey, but ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special edition of UPRE. We are the Trio of Destiny. Obviously, you can tell one member is missing. She is out for tonight, but she hopefully she'll
Mhm.
be back next week. I am Bad Guy Jack, and I'm here with Steve Iron Man. That's so great. And we're here to talk about the What If series. It just
Yes.
debuted today, earlier tonight. And I gotta say, I mean, before we jump into all the scenes and everything going on, I gotta say the visuals of this show is amazing. Don't you
You
agree?
know
Like
what?
this. Mhm.
I really like the animation, honestly. I expected the animation to be a little different, but I really did like it. And truth be told, like one thing that I like about this is that I feel like this puts an end to the people saying like it has to be like the comics. It has to be like the comics. It's mandatory that everything is like the comics. Ha ha! How about them apples? You
I
know?
love I love your haha because it just I felt like you just robbed a bank and you were successful with it when you said ha ha and then you just rolled off. I mean, yeah, no, I agree. The animation was incredible. I mean, really, really, I felt like it was a live. Okay, so let me try to paint this picture right here of anyone who didn't see it. So it reminded me kind of like a live action comic, but then it had that Disney feel to it, if that makes sense. It was something about it that felt like, yes, this is Marvel, but you knew Disney kind of had a, I don't want to say input, but it was kind of Disney inspired. I don't know what it was about, but
The
I
big
really thought this was really
the big
cool.
eyes. Disney people always have big ass eyes.
Don't you talk about Disney people now? You know how they feel about their
Massive,
eyes.
massive big eyes. Like this. Everybody had big ass eyes.
Look at this guy, Steve Iron Man, and he
Yes.
says, "Ha ha ha." I image him laughing exactly like that. Ha 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 ha. But thank you for being here, Christopher. Why don't we jump into it? Episode one, the debut episode, is pretty much I'm sorry, your name threw me off. But what if Captain America they switched roles? What if it wasn't Steve Rogers, but instead it was Peggy Carter? Um real quick, I mean, if everyone's not familiar with it, the What If series is based off the comic book series. I think it was like in the 80s or something like that. I'm not too exactly sure. I'm shooting I'm embarrassed myself shooting a limb
Wait.
here, but
There was a what if comic book series?
oh, absolutely. This was back
Oh,
in
I
it
know
was
that.
yeah, so it was a lot of different things. This is kind of what it's based off of. So let me just tell you some of the comic book issues I remembered. There was one where it looked like Invisible Girl was going to die. She doesn't die, but in the what if she does die, and you see Richard Reed going crazy, and he's like he grows this 5 o'clock shadow beard. He looked like Chuck Norris, and he's talking about like killing people, and that's not Mr. Fantastic. So you're talking about all these different alternatives. One where instead of Spider-Man getting the power, I think Aunt May gets it for some strange reason. So what if has opened all these different doors on what could have possibly happened if just the littlest thing, just the littlest thing. Like you watch a lot of time movies, right? So you always heard don't touch nothing because that could alter reality. So if you move a rock, that rock, even though it was just a rock, might alter might switch everything. But I digress. I think everyone gets the point of it. But let's talk about it. I mean, this one is taking place in the Captain America movies, the first one. And like I mentioned earlier, Steve doesn't become Captain America, but Peggy does.
Nope.
And I
The way
mean, do
they set
you
that up,
want to?
the way they set that up, that whole thing, the way they set it up was cool because you basically see a
Come
repeat
on
of
in.
the movie, right, in the beginning, where Steve is about to go into the machine and get his powers, but then um there's a situation where like it looks like a covert Hydra agent goes, sets up
Yes.
a bomb and
Yes.
blows the place up, and then ends up shooting Steve, and they end up in a situation where Howard Stark is all like, listen, we have to do this now. We have to.
Yeah. Yeah. This is urgent. Yep.
Yeah. So then, like, they're all being, Steve has bullets in him, so he can't get in it. Stark doesn't want to get in it. So there really is nobody else. Peggy takes off her clothes and she's just like, fuck it, it's going to be me. And
Oh
then all of
yeah.
them are being sexist. At that,
Yes,
like, oh, a
very.
woman can't do that. Rah, rah, rah. A woman can't. And she's like, all right, whatever. We have to do it now. And bam, she gets in. The
Uh-huh.
first thing, as soon as she gets out, the first thing, she's all big and buff. And the first
She
thing
was
that
an Amazon dude. Like she was really big. Something.
she
Um.
like Wonder Woman.
Yes, Howard even had to point out. But even then, Wonder Woman was never that tall. I mean, this serum really switched everything about. Howard even mentioned you don't have to get them heels now because she
Yes.
was like she had to be. She's easily, I would say easily 6'1", 6'2" at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Just big.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you did mention something. I did want to throw this out real quick just to show you like, and I use this as the metaphor for The Rock, right? So there's a spot where I guess in the movie they asked her, hey, do you want to step out the room or whatever? Because like you said, these people are sexist. They're like, I don't know if women should be, but she decides, nah, I'm gonna stay here. In this particular moment, she's like, nah, I want to stay. I want to support my man Steve
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. And obviously this is what happened. So it just show. I just wanted to point that out. That was the moment where you knew the timeline was going from this to this. I just wanted to point that out real quick.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, and she's kicking all kinds of. Go ahead, dude. I'm sorry, you wanted to say something?
Oh no! They had just pointed that out. That was the moment that everything changed.
Yes.
And I like that they did it that way because
Mhm.
at first I was just expecting something totally different, but for the most part, it was literally just one decision that changed everything. Because the dynamic of their relationship felt like it was a continuation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it didn't feel different from the movies, from the whole thing with the dance and the way they were flirting with each other. And mind you, even after she had the powers and everything, it was still the same Peggy Carter flirting with Steve Rogers. So like, those two is just it's a soulful thing. You know what I mean? Look, in
No,
the
it
movie,
is.
the guy goes back and finds her at 90. And he's just like, yo, I gotta go find my best gal. You know what I'm saying? Like that's Mary J. Real love. You know what I'm saying? That's what that.
Real love. That's what I'm talking about. That real love. I'm not gonna do that to Mary because Mary makes really good hits. I'm not gonna do that to her. They ain't asked for me to sing, but no, it is true, and I like that point you mentioned right there. But what I like about it is they didn't distance themselves too much from the actual
Mm-hmm.
story. I
Mm-hmm.
get that, and I respect that a lot too. I didn't think about that. That's a really good point. But yeah, I agree. They didn't go too far from that. I thought that was great. So then we get a whole bunch of. I can't wait to talk about Howard Stark because I really thought he was the star of this thing. I loved him. But let's talk about Peggy a little bit. I mean, she started having all these kick-ass scenes where, you
Man.
know, like you mentioned earlier, it's this is the 1940s, so they're very sexist. They're still looking at women on, what is it? What's the term? Being in the kitchen, pregnant, barefoot, all that stuff. That's really
Like,
their mindset.
women can't be soldiers. You might break a nail.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
It's like, all right,
but
what?
But
Oh,
couldn't you? But hold on. I want to talk about that a little bit. Wasn't you like I was looking at that? Said, how can this man who have no super ability talk to this woman like this, who just took the super serum, can easily do this to you? I said the balls of this guy. I don't
I
know. I
mean,
just don't.
no, but you know what though? Like, you got to think about it. It's 1940,
Mm,
so it's a time where, um, I think women's suffrage was only maybe like 20 years before that, where women literally just got the vote,
right.
and like it's just the way things were viewed were very different. You know what I mean? I mean, and mind you, it even creeps up to now because like you go to a college and there's still people trying to get their MRS degree, if you know what that means. So
Oh,
but that is just an old time thinking. You feel me? So
very
like
outdated. Yeah.
it's the 1940s. So that's just how people viewed women back then. But she certainly broke the mold. And I'm happy that they put that in there. You know what I mean? Because it makes you like kind of cheer for this badass chick. You know what I mean? Because and mind you, one of my favorite parts was when the big guy came out, he's cranking his neck.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh, there's another super soldier. You know what I mean? Kind of like when we were watching
Falcon, the Winter Soldier. Yeah. Yeah.
that's what I thought they were gonna go. It was like, okay, cool. And he's all like, oh, they're gonna send a little flower to da 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 da. He's ready to just fight her. She goes Bomb breaks his leg. Bomb hits him in the nuts and hits him in the back of the head. Like, wow.
Bang! Yeah. No, she
handled. Oh man, it
no,
was great. And the other thing that I liked about it is just that the part of Peggy that is brilliant and very smart and very cerebral did not go away. Because one thing that I did notice is just that, like, when she first flipped that first car, she marked out. Like, she marked, she was like, yeah, I can't just do it again. Ah! Oh my God, that was brilliant. Let's do it all. You know, so like it's something that you all can see that her as a character, she's not accustomed to that type of thing.
right.
So she loved it. And honestly, like, I hope this isn't a one-off because there's a lot in there to dive in.
It's funny. I wanted to actually save that for the end, but I mean, I guess I could just talk about. Why don't we save that for the end? Let's talk about that towards the end, because I do wanna. That's an interesting point you point out. But yeah, let's talk about those scenes. I mean, you brought up some of the scenes, but she had a lot of badass scenes. She's flipping cars, she's beating up Nazis, she's doing everything. She's proving that women deserve to be out there. And sitting there saying, she had to even mention, because this guy, the colonel, kept mentioning. The general, he kept saying, "You're lucky to be in this room," and I couldn't even. It's almost baffling to me hearing that, because it's like, I'm forgetting this is the 1940s, right? So for me, I'm like, wait, how are you talking to a human being like that? I'm like, all right, the world was a disgusting place. Not that I mean, it's sort of changed, but there's still stuff to be worked out. But the world was a way disgusting place back then, like way back then. It was way more disgusting. So I just blew my mind a little bit. But let's talk about Steve. I mean, Steve, he doesn't become Captain America here. But he's they call him the Hydra Stomper. He has like the original Iron Man, Ironmonger like costume, and it was cool that Howard made that, because it almost makes it like Tony was always destined to do this because his father did it. And
yeah, you know what makes it funny is just that, like, that makeshift Iron Man suit that he made in a cave and Iron Man 1, like, now that makes a lot of sense. Because you've never seen this from Howard Stark.
No, you haven't. No, not at all.
Was very unexpected. When I saw that, I was like, oh, nice. That is cool. He couldn't get the super soldier, but he straight up hulked him. You know how they put Hulk when Hulk couldn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that. You said they hulked him. But that comes back to something you said earlier. It was a really good point where you said they didn't really distance themselves from the actual characters from the movie. Because Steve was always someone who wanted to help, like, no matter what. I mean, even when he was, I'm not gonna lie, it was really hard to watch Skinny Steve. I felt bad for him every time I looked at him. I just wanted to throw a piece of meat at him or something like that. It was hard for me to watch.
At the same time, what I liked about that is just that, because here's the thing, like, you only see bits and pieces of Skinny Steve in the first Captain America. Right. After that, you never see that person again. The person that you see is, the afterwards Steve Rogers and everything.
Yeah, me after the gym. I know.
So what I liked about it was just that it shows that it's still the same guy, superpowers and not. And
yes, that's a good point.
He doesn't need to have anything.
But actually, no. I mean, like, when you're fighting aliens, it would be nice to have superpowers, because
but he doesn't know how to drive a truck, but he knows how to drive an Iron Man suit. So hey, you know what I mean? He's got the heart to just go and do that. And the other thing, the fact that they buckied him, like, that was wild. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't see that coming, but that made sense in the alternate universe.
I do like some of the stuff that they did where I felt like it was a play on actual things that would happen later on. So like, like they had the scene where she has the gun and she's shooting as they enter, I think, Hydra territory. Her and a few men were just shooting, so that was like a play on a scene in the Captain America. But there's a spot towards it's getting towards the end where Bucky slips off the train, but she catches him. Carter catches him, and she drags him on the train. And he says something, "Hey, you almost ripped my arm off." And I was like, I don't know. Maybe I'm digging too deep into it. I blame Marvel fans, because now anytime I see something, I'm like, yeah, that is a callback to the old comics. But I felt like
that's the thing. It is, because she literally she literally just cut off the whole Winter Soldier situation, right? Just anybody that was thinking about the Winter Soldier,
Oh,
that
right, because he falls. Right, right. I forgot that. Yeah.
that whole situation is gone in that one scene. Because if you're even thinking about the Winter Soldier, like, all right, how's the Winter Soldier going to come up? No, but then all of a sudden Iron Man gets Bucky. So then what's going on in your head when Iron Man gets Bucky? It's like, oh man, is Steve Rogers going to be the one that end up as the Winter Soldier? What? That's what was going on through my head. You know what I mean? And
No, I totally get you, but let's finish off. Let's get to the end. I mean, apparently, uh, the mission was always to try to get the Tesseract. Eventually, Hydra gets it, and as the Red Skull has it, he's trying to get his champion, his monster. Now, I'm assuming the monster was supposed to be their logo. I guess it was like that octopus-like creature, and he eventually gets the octopus creature to come out, who obeys nobody, kills the Red Skull, kills everybody in his way. Peggy sitting there as Superwoman comes in. She's kicking all kinds of serious ass, round, flat, you name the ass. Her foot's been there, kicking all kinds of ass, and she's fighting him. Steve, like you mentioned, wants to be the hero. He wants to save the day. Still, he comes in with the ironmonger like thing. It runs out of juice. Peggy said and said, I can beat this, I can take care of it. To which they bring back something that they were mentioning throughout this episode. But if you've watched Captain America in general, you already know this part. There was always that they never got that last dance. They never got that dance. And and Steve, as she's pushing this monster, Steve says, you owe me a dance lesson. And she said, oh, don't worry about it, Saturday. And Saturday never came. Well, not for the 1940s anyway, and probably because 70 years later she comes out the this portal like thing, and this monster is split into many different pieces, and she runs into Nick Fury, and I think that was Hawkeye, and they're like, oh, that's Captain Carter, and all these years went by. She's asking about Steve, and that's real love right there. When it's been 70 years, and you sit here and go like, oh, where's Steve? I don't know. Steve might be dead, but hey,
I mean, what I liked about it is as the exact same thing as the end of Captain America 1.
Yes.
As
just different because she didn't go in the water, but yeah, absolutely right.
The exact same thing. Like, because the last thing that he said was like, I had a date. And like, mind you, and the crazy thing about that is that you could see it in his face that he was excited about it. He just didn't realize that 70 years had passed. Same thing
when I wake up.
She didn't realize that all that time had passed. And mind you, the one thing that I wanted to see after that was like, all right, how are they going to reunite them? I really want this shit to continue. I really hope it's not a one-off.
Like, I think it is, though. I mean, I think you might get another episode, maybe, but I do think it's a one-off. I mean, because these are what ifs. I mean, these are not canon. There's nothing about it that's going to be canon. It's almost like it leaves it's left up to your interpretation. Like, what does happen? Because you're right. Like, oh, what happened to Steve? Did Steve become the old man, or did he become the Winter Soldier? Or I mean, you could go all kinds of ways with this. Now that did the Ironmonger suit that was passed from that Howard made, did he pass it to his son, preventing him from ever being in the tunnel? That's the beautiful thing about what ifs, because there's so many different things you can put in here and say, well, that could have been altered. That could have been altered. But I do want to highlight Howard Stark. I feel like I didn't get a chance to talk about him enough. I thought he was great. I thought he was funny. He reminded me so much of Tony, obviously, because he's the father. There's a spot where he says, "Hey, what are you talking about? I just press buttons here. See?" And like, I don't know. I love that old 1940s like talk, because it just remind me like, how they used to be. How they used to talk, kind of like those old cartoons, and they would do that stuff. So I thought he was tremendous, and I just wanted to really throw that out there because I thought Peggy got all the spotlight because this was meant for her. Her taking the mantle of Captain America, Steve still getting that supporting role, but Howard was there. He was the guy who was like, you need a guy who press buttons. He was even saying there's a spot where they're trying to fight, and he says, I don't do the, I press buttons. See, and that's what I do. See, here's the buttons. I like the buttons. See, that's the buttons. But hey, that was what if. I'm excited about talking about episode 2. I mean, I'm hearing you. Excited not only about episode 2, but even wanting more of this and make this some kind of arc where we get some kind of, middle and end.
I mean, it should. I wish that they would definitely dive more into it. Now, truth be told, I watched Agent Carter, like that little
I
show.
wanted to ask you that. You watched it, right?
I watched that show, so like, there's a part of me that marks out even more because in that show, she's just incredibly witty. She is incredibly witty. She knows how to fight. She knows all kinds of shit. Like, listen, do not mess with Agent Carter. Like, Agent Carter is the shits. Like, honestly, I could definitely. I mean, she's smart. She's sexy. She's freaking. She knows how to fight, and she's hilarious. Like, dude, great girl. I can understand why Steve wanted her so bad. Why, no one
Even 70 years later, right?
Yeah, because here's the thing, man. Like, all right.
Mm-hmm.
If you're an old man and then you try to holler at some young thing, right?
You're going to jail.
No, it's not just that. It's not that. All right, say you're
No, I'm joking. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no. Say you're 40 and then you end up hooking up with somebody that's like 25, right? Like, past the physical, it's not going anywhere because you just can't relate, not even music wise. You know what I mean? There's just so many ways that you can relate. Why? Because there's so many experiences that you've had that she had. You know what I'm saying? Things like. So, like,
no, I get that. Yep. No, I get that.
The equivalent of a 90-year-old, and then they keep throwing these 20-year-olds at him because he's all buff and hot. I mean, come on, you know what I mean? No wonder he's gonna go find his 90-year-old lady.
Yeah, because they know that stuff. Like, hey, you remember that? You remember Jim from like 1956? And like,
watching Babe Ruth at Yankee
Stadium. Yeah, absolutely, right. Like, you remember? They don't even say Babe Ruth. Like, yeah, you remember Babe?
Yeah,
you remember Babe?
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, but I get that. That's great, valid points. But that is the what if. I mean, we could sit here for another 5 minutes and drag it. But while we hype up some shows, there's a lot of shows tonight, folks. There's a lot of shows. I mean, if you're watching entertainment, let's point it out. On Saturday, we're going to be back here again. It's going to be the three of us, maybe four, who knows? And we're going to be talking Invincible, episode 3. Tonight. Hey, I don't know. I'm sorry. What did you want to say, sir?
No. I thought it was episode 2. I missed the last one because of my birthday, but it's episode 3.
Yes, episode 3. Oh yeah, right. Because we're both in August. We're the August guys.
Mm-hmm.
We're the cool ones.
Right. We're the coolest cats in the room.
That's right. Meow. So like, boom. We just. Oh, that was funny. I don't care what anybody said. But we got that tonight. I don't know if anybody here like reality TV, but if you guys like it, this is a first time. I think this is the first reality show that UPRE is even doing. So you guys got
to do Flavor of Love.
Oh my God, I want to do that so badly. I'm down for that. I mean, we know the winners, but I'm totally down to talk about that because New York was the greatest hill, but we'll say that for when we get off air. Because she was the greatest hill. Actually, you know who's the greatest hill? It was not New York. It was New York's mother. New York's mother.
New York's really mother with the drama. That shit was Popcorn City.
Absolutely. It's a city of popcorns. But yes, we're gonna do reality TV. It's called The Challenge. Our good friends Mike Knox and Shay Sawyer, the captains, they're gonna review that. And I think that's all the entertainment stuff. And I think we're all out of time. Yes, The Challenge. See, it's good to have people to help and stuff. We call them helpers. The last help. I'm gonna give you a star right next to your name, helper. But yes, The Challenge. Check that out around 9:30. I'll be there. Invincible. We talked about it. That's episode 2. But yes, we'll be back for episode 3 on Saturday. Hey, you just watched this Captain Carter, the review show. We'll be back again Wednesday. And I don't know what the next episode is, but you guys will know if you're following us on Instagram, Facebook. If you're watching us on YouTube, like, love, and share. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. No, not Instagram. What's this thing? Twitch. There's so many social medias. It's just so freaking hard to keep up. I still ask if anyone still uses MySpace, but I don't think so.
Tweet and put it everywhere. Like, put it everywhere that you can share. Email it to your friends that are still on AOL if they want. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. That's me. Oh my God, do that.
Yes.
And with that all said, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we got. He's Steven Iron Man. I'm Bad Guy Jack. Do you want to take us home? Please take us home. That's the show. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for watching another edition of Unpopular Review Entertainment.